seared into our memory, inhabiting apathy as a cause. Everything is beyond measure. I'm not afraid of the obstacles in front of me. My pride will whisk me through. Reverbs of lost battles. I am not looking for your truth. Our anonymity and authorship are mutually Faustian. Camouflage fading, shadows ionizing, helmets, forged in metal, waiting for the quench. The curse is engraved in metabolizing digital feelings into physical sweat as a mechanism to process what was true. Auspicious shells, phantom swords following like NPCs. Pixelated pixelation establishes its own materiality. A material ontology, opaque coordinates registering, render impossible, unhinged expressions of matter fiction. Fiction as production, truth, reproduced chatter and discussion in relation to myth and truth. Hollow armor, knights are gathering at the round table. Chink in my armor, slithers of light carving out orange tearing through each other, splitting into streaks of pink. Apathenia is defined as the perception of patterns within a random data. Object, subject, dualism, ionizing. To wither, specular smooth to rust, metal texture animation. The image freed from hardware, disturbances from echoes can't haunt ghosts of unimpeded. It tells of no beginning, nor end, nor half-life. Summoning up images of dead past lives that we adorn in armor. Compendium ionizing, eroding. Obfuscation is misty, hazy. Opacity is a limited dialect that speculates. Does the armor need a soul to ruminate on physical presence which may never solidify? Is revenge a pure response? Do our lost possessions mourn us? What would happen if abstract souvenirs invaded a known organized index, where we all recognize as a malefic mass? In our acknowledgement of such mass, it becomes named, ordered and recognized against cultural capital. The souvenir economy has transformed matter as proof, absorbing metallic history through dents in armor that now sits in preserved cases with small placards describing around a narrative of what was. Because we are here, everything is so beyond measure. A non-unshakable paradox of singularities ricocheting off multitudes, but all dissolving into immeasurable unity. Haptic experience mediates encounters with material spaces usually through optical lenses and tactility. They give us tangibility to traverse our night's terror. Hapticity plays with the relationship between emotion and motion, so when we start discussing the visual substrate of screens, we gleam ourselves and others back. Glossy 4K HDRIs, chiaroscuro painted out. 4K resolution isn't real, it's an interface. The more high-res an image is, the less real it becomes. A Knight's Tale for me is placed between these dichotomous matrices, interwoven by convention of truth. Adornment is insular and paradoxical. I only express myself with silence. Within the silence there is calmness, a slow meditation on the acoustics pinging, echoes traced out in silence, carving out gauntlets of memories pinging. The more solemn an object becomes, it starts with glitter and radiates out. Its silence erupts into a critical mass, crying out for its bubble to burst. But once its bubble is burst, it is left with a silent residual trace, but that silence occupies a space as a residue. Collisions oscillating between jousting duels of clashes, fables mirroring gestures slipping between synergy and violence, near misses liquefied clarity. Armor sculpted out to fill space, absence of space, to fill in the shadow, to occupy shadow, and opacity, to render the caustics out, bouncing light, piercing dimmers, muted dull rust, to prevent such rust as violent, immaterial armor carved out by occupants prior, embedded scars and dents with no echoes. I refuse to rot, a compendium solidifying cures to test our durability. Polished, shiny, gleaming, iridescent, chrome, metallic, slippery, lacquered, wet, sleek. Fidelity and defiance of rationality isn't what I crave. Missing parts, failing to assemble. Homogenized doesn't feel activist. Fables are lapsing like banners blowing in the wind. Shoot your arrow, bullseye. Eye on the prize. When an AI shoots an arrow, does it always land? The target has been assessed and evaluated and located. Sometimes there are anomalous arrows in the quiver. When an arrow is missing its fletching, it can't shoot straight, and I refuse to shoot straight. Silence is deafening when it's all said. I'll erupt in harmony, a beckoning geyser ringing out to be heard.